Hi, welcome to this Getting Started tutorial with the Quixel Megascans Tessellation Shader asset on the Unity Asset Store. I'm going to take you through how we implement the asset and get our textures looking the way they should in Unity. So first of all, we'll need to import the asset. You would head to your asset store and then you'd go to your assets, your downloads, and in here you click import on the relevant asset. It doesn't appear in my list and the reason being is that I haven't submitted it to the store yet, but by the time you see this tutorial it will be. Okay, I'm going to drag in a file which will let me import the asset manually, and you'll see here it brings up the import Unity package dialog, and in here we'll go and we'll let it import everything. So this asset here is the shader, and this is the readme.txt file which is included, and we'll detail exactly what I'm telling you here. So we'll click import and this will import everything into the project. Okay, and the other thing we'll need to do just to get the editor ready for Bridge to import the texture into, we'll right click here and we'll click create a folder, and we'll call this resources, and this enables the Bridge to export the textures straight into that directory. Okay, let's head over to Bridge. So in Bridge I've got a variety of textures here. Some are 3D assets and some are actually surfaces. It's the surfaces we're interested in, so let's click this one. This looks interesting, and click on scripts and Unity. Now you can see here I've already got my resources path set up. If you click the browse button and you can navigate to your assets resources folder within your project. All of mine are set to 2K, that's all I need, and the format of JPEG. You can customize these how you see fit. Let's export these. So now they'll appear in the Unity editor, so let's go back, and this will now import the textures. I'll pause the video while this is doing this. Okay, that's finished importing, so let's go into our resources directory, and our stone textures are in here. And we see we've got all of these various maps, and we need something to apply them to. So let's right click in the hierarchy, 3D object, and we'll create a plane. You can see that this plane, it does have some vertices inside it, but they're not really enough. It's not really enough to add the detail that we need. So we need to create a material which we can use on this plane and apply our shader to. The default material isn't customizable, so let's just create a new one. To do this, we'll go to the assets directory, we'll right click, click create, and we'll choose material. And I'm going to call this demo. You can call it whatever you like. And I'm going to drag this onto our plane. Okay, so now our plane has this material, but first of all we need to change the shader to Third Dimension Studio's Megascans surface, and click that and you'll see it all changes. And you can see the tessellation's changed on the asset as well. We've got a lot more vertices in there. Okay, now we need to drag in our maps, so I'm going to navigate to resources, stone, and then we've got our maps here. I'm going to click here and we're going to go drag in the albedo, and you can see we've got a material. It's not really got any height to it. We'll keep going. And the next one is roughness, so let's drag in our roughness, and let's drag in our normal. Now this normal map will prompt us to fix it, which it does. Click the fix button and you'll see it all changes and looks nice again. So normal gives the illusion of height, but it doesn't actually create any height itself. So if we go to the side, you can see there's nothing there. It's just an illusion. I'm going to keep going through these, and this displacement map here is what will create the height. So I'm going to drag this on, and you'll see that the stones raise out of the floor in this particular example, which they do. And you can see we have our actual geometry here now, creating the height. I'm going to carry on going down here. We're going to put in the cavity map, and we're also going to put in the ambient occlusion map. And now we're ready to start customizing. So our first option is the color here. We can tint this material any color we want. I'll show you as an example, but I'm going to leave it as white. You can see that I can increase the brightness of the material, and I can also tint it a certain color, any color I want. It could be useful in a variety of situations, but we'll leave it at white for now. Then we also have our metallic. This is not really necessary in this type of material, but it could be used in a metal surface, for instance. So let's just drag this over here, and you can see we get a metallic kind of look to it, and we can turn it up or down. Generally with metals you stick with 0 or 1, you don't go in these middle gaps in between, because that's technically not right. We're going to carry on looking at these. So we've got displacement and mount. So this increases the height, and I'm going to go to the side view to show you this. So if we increase the displacement amount, you'll see that the actual displacement gets taller. So the stones are now pointing out of the floor a lot more than they were before, but it gets rather nasty quite quickly if you go further than the material was designed to go. So we're going to take this back down, and you can also go all the way back to flat. You can see here there's no displacement whatsoever. I'm just going to tweak this up to a nice value to give us a look that we like, and that's about right. We'll be up here. It's probably a bit much actually. Let's just take it down a little bit more. There we go. So now we have this bumpy material. We can control how detailed the bumps are. So I'm going to zoom in here. Let's look at one of these stones here. So this one will do. You can see we've got some sharp edges here, just where the tessellation isn't quite enough to get the detail that we need. And if I increase the tessellation amount, you can see everything sort of smooths out nicely. Now I can also decrease this and all the way back down to 0, and it'll go flat again, or flattish. So let's just increase this to an amount that the least that we can get away with, and I think that's about there. We go up. There we go. That's looking very good. Okay. So the last of all, we've got the ambient occlusion intensity. So I can increase this up or down, and this is driven by the ambient occlusion map, and all it does is increase the intensity of that map or decrease the intensity. So just tweak that to your preference. Okay, that's it for now. Any comments or feedback, please let me know. You can do that via the Unity asset store, and I hope you enjoy using this asset. Thank you very much.